Hey, I'm Helix. This is an updated, sort of advanced tutorial, I guess, for all question mark panels in Mario Kart World. Post tutorial is actually great at explaining like the basics and everything, but the routes and strats in it are a bit outdated because it's like 4 years old. So I'm going to go into this assuming that you know the basics of panels, that you know the basics of Mario Kart World gameplay. So I'm not going to cover any of that. You can watch closed tutorial for that because it does a great job of explaining like the basics. This is just for like my current routes and things. What's today's date? These routes and strats are current as of December 28th, 2025. Also, I'm doing this all in one take because I just want to get something out before GDQ. So, yeah, if I'm a little bit all over the place, if this is a little bit sloppy, I apologize. This is just a one take quick thing. So yeah, starting from right after the intro cutscene, I personally use Parabitty Bud and Mock Rocket. That's, I believe, pretty much the agreed upon combo is a character from the latest weight class. Technically, Baby Daisy is faster, but Baby Daisy's only faster because she's faster than Menu too. Parabitty has the exact same stats. I believe Baby Peach is also in this weight class. And then, yeah, we choose Mock Rocket for, good stats. You could probably get away with using Baby Blooper if you wanted to. Some strats might be easier or harder. You could probably get away with using a character in 1 or 2 weight classes higher if you wanted to. Some strats might be easier or harder. But this tutorial should still at least roughly apply. Anyway, let's just get into it. Oh, one more thing I will try, if I remember, to put timestamps or like video chapters in the description, along with the link to closed video, of course. So hopefully those work. But yeah, you're gonna start, right about here, of course. Just turn left. You want to get a trick off of the slope, and then take some of that speed onto here. This jump is... See, I already messed it up. That actually, I might have been able to make that work, but this first jump here is really tricky, and unfortunately, I feel like you do kind of just need to get a feel for it. I will be rewinding a lot to demonstrate things, by the way. So you want to jump off, generally right before you reach the top of this rail, right before it starts leveling out. I wish I had an input display so I could show you exactly what I'm doing, because I'm realizing the inputs for this are extremely difficult to describe. You trick right, and then I hold right. How long am I even holding right for? Maybe like a third of my airtime, and then I start pulling back left. You really need to practice this one. Unfortunately, that's just kind of the case with a lot of these, is that you just need to practice. A lot of these strats are tough. The stuff I do is tough. I would not recommend following this route if you are a new runner. I would recommend following closed route, and then once you're more comfortable with that, then watch this video, start taking some of my strats. Yeah, once you get that first panel, single mini turbo here, you should be able to squeeze one out here, get this panel, and then get a trick off of that. Object boost on this, get on this, and then go up there. That is a lot really quick. I mean, this run is very quick. Everything happens very quickly. Yeah, see if you can squeeze out a mini turbo here. Sometimes you'll drift a little bit too sharply, you'll get slowed down by the off-road, and you won't quite get one out. That's fine if that happens. The more important thing is the trick here off the slope. You really want to make sure you get that trick. Otherwise, you have almost no speed going into this portion, and then it's harder to get on the roof from there. But yeah, trick here, start your jump off this. You should have enough speed to keep going. Start drifting left. As soon as you land here, you should drift over that panel. You might even want to brake drift, actually. Just to make sure you make this turn. Yeah, I didn't get the drift there, but I still got the trick. It's fine, it is what it is. Yeah. Trick off this, start charging a jump immediately, jump right onto the rail, jump off right there. Right, I trick right, just after this, just after that, silver, support, this thing. Right after that is when I trick right to get the object boost from the pipe. So, demonstrate again. Here, get my charge jump. off the pipe. I'm holding right that entire time. Rewind back up here. I'm holding left that entire time. The ending to this is pretty straightforward, I feel like. You know, you just trick left off the ramp, a bit of a drift, grind on this, and then down you go. Make sure when you're getting on this rail that you're mostly parallel with it. This rail in particular is really finicky. If you're like even a little bit perpendicular to it, it won't let you on. Lots of rails, I feel like this angle would work for most rails, but not for this one. You need to be very close to parallel with it for it to let you on. You would normally have a lot more speed than I did just there. If you want to jump off of it pretty early, you usually will have more than enough speed to make that jump. And then, if you are watching this tutorial and you are not map warping away before you get to the last panel on almost every track, you should start doing it. That's going to save you, like, at least a second per track, probably, and that's pretty important. That's, you know, 29 seconds over the course of the run, so 28 seconds. And that's a lot. It's a lot of time. But that's it for Mario Bros. Circuit. Yeah, the first part is definitely, like, the hardest, the first jump. Crown City. I am going to be on a really weird traffic cycle here because of how long I just took explaining Mario Bros. Circuit, but... Like, obviously, you want a glider truck. You probably know this already. You'd love to see a glider truck here. If you don't get one, it's not the end of the world. If you get one, obviously, you take it, you go up to that panel. I guess I can kind of show you with this one. Not exactly the same, but, like, you get the gist, right? If you don't get one and you want to continue your run, let me show you at least what I do here. Go around here, drift right, start charging a jump, and then you jump up to this panel, and then rewind a bit, and then you can sort of turn around, get this item, and then start heading back this way. As for rest, and the item you want from... There it is. The item you want from this set, you would love a mushroom. A feather and a star both are kind of bad and make it way harder, so you really love to see a mushroom here. It's still possible without one, but it's harder and slower. So anyway, you know, we have our mushrooms, or a single mushroom at the very least. But on here, once I land, I start doing a brake drift to the right. So, you trick off of this to the left, land, start doing a brake drift to the right, trick off of this. Well, you're supposed to use the mushroom. I was too busy explaining things that I forgot that I need to actually use my mushroom there. You use it right before you reach that ramp, you should be able to land here, trick off that. You can use the rest of your mushrooms here if you have them. But just generally follow my line here. Get this, and then you want to start rewinding. Make sure while you're rewinding that you are not holding accelerate, because that will make you keep your speed when you are done rewinding, and you do not want to keep your speed when you finish your rewind, and you will see why. Because you want to stop right here and drop on top of this panel. As close as you can get to that panel, the closer you can get, the better. And then rewind back up here. Now, when you're done with that rewind, you can hold accelerate. I didn't there because I'm stopping to explain things. But then you can continue as normal. You know, go over here. This is a pretty advanced Crown City route. It is faster, I think, by like 3 seconds, and it also avoids the glider truck RNG at the end of it. And it's difficult in large part because of this jump right here. A big reason this works is because of the way I get the panel that is on the wall over here. It's kind of ridiculous. I get it like this. It's consistent. It's very tough to get down, but it is consistent. I like to use a mushroom here, actually, just to help me make this gap. And then my cue for... Let me rewind back up here. My cue for when to fall off is between these two lines. So this line and this line. You want to fall off between those two lines. And the angle you want to have going into it. This wall actually sets you up super nicely. I just, like, tap left once to turn myself just ever so slightly to the left after that wall. So what that ends up looking like is this. And then from there, it's very difficult to describe exactly what I'm doing, and I don't think there's really a one-size-fits-all solution. It really depends on your speed and your angle coming off of this. But you want to trick to the left a couple times, generally. Probably don't hold left the entire time, because you will probably end up going too far to the left. And this is another thing that you just have to practice and get a feel for. You know, you'll get it. You'll get it. But hopefully that helps with getting that panel, because that's one of the hardest parts of this route. You play as normal here, you know, jump off to the left. You can use your mushrooms here if you have them, to get them back after you rewind back up. Charge jump off to the right, land here, try to be as perpendicular to this rail as possible, otherwise you will snap the rail, and that's bad, that loses a bunch of time. Then you can't get this panel as easily. Okay, here is where things get really fast. You know, after this, normally, on the old route, you're rewinding, back up, you're taking the glider, you're kind of doing a very roundabout way to get some of the panels over there. And on this route, you don't need to do that, because you already got them. So, after you get this panel, you can just go this way, charge your jump, and get on this rail. And then jump off this rail like this. As I'm doing this, you might notice that I start turning after I start charging my jump, and then I do my charge jump to the left. And that helps me make sure I actually get on the rail. And then you use the speed you have from the trick boost when you get on the rail. Let me rephrase this. When you land on that rail, you will have a trick boost. And you use the speed from that trick boost to jump out of the window and clear the gap. You saw it already, but if you pay attention, it should become clear exactly what I'm doing now. See how I'm using the speed from that trick boost to make sure I clear the gap? You do have to jump off the rail pretty late, but you also need to make sure that you jump off before it starts turning to the left like this, because obviously that will completely ruin your angle. And then you won't make the gap, because you won't be going at it straight on anymore. So, just like this. And then trick off here. You kind of want to swing out wide here to make sure you have enough room to start charging a charge jump. And what I do here is I charge a jump, I release it right here on this slope to get some more height. If you release a charge jump on a slope like this, it gives you a little bit more height. And then I, excuse me, I object boost off of the tree onto the roof. So, show. The traffic's getting in my way. That can happen sometimes, unfortunately. Looks like this. It's pretty cool. I'm delighted that it even works, honestly. There you go. And then you want to go over here, get this, go off like this. Another reason you want mushrooms here, or at the very least a star, is because then you can use them to cut through this off-road, start charging a jump as you're doing so, and then object boost off of that pole, which is super cool. Let me show you what happens. If you try doing this without a star or a mushroom, you can't really charge a jump because you can't get enough speed in that off-road to be able to charge one. So that's why you need an item that ignores off-road, essentially. If you start charging one, like, as soon as you reach the road, you just saw technically you can squeeze one out and still be able to get the object boost off of the pole to make it up to the dock, but I wouldn't recommend it because you still are driving super slowly through this off-road, and I think at that point it's better off just going to the boardwalk normally. It's also really hard to actually squeeze out a charge jump there. So, whoops. Alright, to recap exactly what's happening. Do this, boost off the tree. Get this panel. Use your mushrooms. Over here. Oh, one more thing, actually. If you only have one mushroom, you need to wait to use it. You need to land in the off-road and drive for like a split second, and then you can use it. And that just makes sure you have enough juice in that mushroom, basically, to actually get across the remainder of the off-road and onto the road. Because if your mushroom expires before you're out of the off-road, obviously that's going to slow you down. It's probably also going to kill your charge jump. And then you're SOL. You're in a really bad spot if that happens. The nice thing, if you only have one mushroom, is that you can still get a trick off of here, as you can see. And then you want to land on this rail and jump off of it onto the rail to the left. It's faster to do that jump to the left rather than just ride it, because you get a trick boost that way. And I am jumping toward, like, the end before it curves, but not all the way at the end before it curves, if that makes sense. The timing on this one's kind of tricky. You got to get used to it. If you jump too late, I think you end up, like, hitting this bench or jumping off the Yoshi or something, and if you time it wrong, it gets really awkward, so just be careful about that. Hi, truck. Okay. Oh, yet another thing. This is a really complicated route. Sometimes an NPC will get in your way right here. They'll be just directly in your path. If you're skilled enough, it is possible to maneuver around them, but you just kind of have to have some practice with it. It's annoying when it happens. Jump off this, and then you can just kind of spam tricks on here. Jump off. If you have a mushroom left, you can use it here, and then there you go to the panel. One quick thing. One more quick thing. If you have a golden, I have 4 mushrooms here, so we're just going to pretend I have a golden right now. If you have a golden, you can use it during this straightaway, and I believe it's faster than getting on the rail at all. So if you have a golden, do that. Okay, that's enough of Crown City. It's obviously it's the longest track in the run because it has 10 panels. It's one of the most involved routes in the run. So if you were able to learn Crown City, good job. You just passed, like, one of the most involved portions of the run. One of the most difficult routes. So, good job. On to Troopa Beach. Trying to remember how similar this is to the old route, and I don't remember, so I'm just gonna ignore it and just explain it anyway. You start by going to the left. I do a trick right there. You don't really need to, but I find, you might as well get that trick boost out. At the end of this rail, jump off to the left, land on that, rewind back up, hold A, run over this, and then you want to start doing a charge jump into this wall. And smart steering will make you slide around. And that allows you to continue charging your charge jump. I call this a smart steering jump, and you're probably familiar by now because I kind of covered it earlier especially. You need a certain amount of speed in order to even charge your charge jump at all. And sliding around while running into a wall apparently counts as having that speed somehow. And so you can just charge a jump while running into a wall almost because of the way smart steering interacts. It's so strange, but it works. And so what you're gonna do is just go to the right into the wall and charge a jump. You want to use it to land on that rail and then immediately jump off to the left, drift to the left, jump off this ramp, hit this, and then rewind back up. So, to recap, what the heck just happened? Do it a little bit more slowly. Charge a jump, land on here, jump off to the left, land, charge drift, get a mini turbo, jump off this. Once you have it down, it becomes relatively simple. But it's just a lot of actions very quickly. And then as soon as you hit this panel, you want to rewind. If you rewind too late, you're going into the pipe, and you really do not want to go into that pipe. Instead, you want to rewind back up here, fall down here. I think generally I don't trick off of this. I think you can, actually. I think you can trick off that. You just want to make sure you land before these items, because you want to get an item from there. A feather is almost as it always is. It's just one of the worst items that you can get. Yeah, once you get that, you want to drift around this corner into that panel. And then hopefully you got a good item. Hopefully it's like a golden or something. Hopefully it's not a feather. If it's a feather, that's almost useless. Give me something good, please. Triple mushrooms. Yeah, there you go. And now you can just use these on your way to the next panel, just to make it a little bit faster. And then a small optimization. I start charging a jump right around here. You can use it to wall ride to just go a little bit faster toward that last panel. you want to make sure you jump off the wall before it ends. If you let the wall ride end naturally, you end up over here. You end up to the right of the panel. So you want to make sure that you jump off to the left before the wall ride ends. And then once you land, you can map warp away to DK Spaceport. Alright, so remember that smart steering jump we did earlier? This is a much more important one. You want to immediately turn into the wall, start a smart steering jump, and then get onto this rail, and then jump off the rail to the right and land on this panel. You might notice I kind of... How do I explain this? I kind of went backwards a little bit. Like, I didn't go directly to the right into the wall. I kind of went, like, right and a little bit back, just to make sure I have enough space. So that I have... to make sure I have enough space to actually ride up onto the rail once I do that arch jump. If you are too far forward, you won't have enough space to get up onto the rail before the rail kind of takes you up, and then you won't make it up here. As soon as you hit this panel, quit warp. Mash plus here, or start, you know, whatever button it is on whatever controller you're using to get back into free roam. Trick off this, object boost off this pole. Do your tricks in the water. Hopefully you get some, like, good waves or whatever you can trick off of. I like to do a little boost there and then trick off there, or a mini turbo, that's what I should have said. Excuse me. Get this panel, trick here. Get this item. I have started doing, instead of a super mini turbo, I've started doing 2 regular mini turbos. And the reason for this is that when you are in a boost, you get less height from these springs. See how I don't quite make it all the way up, and I need to use a wall ride to make it up the rest of the way? But if you do 1... Okay, well, I was supposed to get a second mini turbo there. 1, 2 mini turbos. Your boost kind of runs out just before you get the spring, and so you make it up there a bit easier, and then you can take a tighter line. And I think that's faster. So, 1... Oh, that's bad. Don't do that. Don't do what I just did. That was very messy. Okay, that car's in my way, that's fun. There we go. And even if you don't quite make it up, like if you get a wall ride and you end up sort of wall riding up to the top, you still get a boost when you're done, so it still works out just fine. So then you want to drive up here, or to drift this way, land right here, and then just go to this panel. And then rewind. Do not hold accelerate, and drop yourself right here. One thing that you can do, we'll see if I can demonstrate it, it's very tricky, is... Give me a moment. This is actually something I don't even go for. It's that tricky. You can land in a wall ride right there. Wow, I thought that was going to do it. I don't necessarily recommend going for this, but maybe you're better at it than I am. Wow, this is a tough strat. I would like to show it. You see how hard this is. You see why I don't go for it. There. That's faster if you can hit it, but it's very hard. But, you know, if that's something you think you can do, give it some practice, see how it feels. I'm not good at it, maybe you'll have better luck than me. It's a UFO over there. Anyway, after you rewind, you will drop yourself right here. You just want to turn around, go up this hill. Hopefully, ideally, if you have mushrooms here, now is the time to use them. If you don't, then you don't. And just copy my line. There's an edge trick there. Oh, something to note, I don't have a mushroom, so I can't show this in action. But if you have a mushroom, do not use it right before the spring. Remember what I said earlier about if you have speed, if you are in a boost, rather, you will get less height from this. It seems to work fine from like a trick boost and a mini turbo boost, but if you are in a mushroom boost, you will not get enough height to make it up to this next platform. I don't know why, it's really dumb. Just be warned. You have been warned. Do not mushroom there, you won't make it up. It sucks. And then another trick you can do, I just... Whoa. Oh, that was... Don't do that. I take it a little bit safe, and I just do a trick there. But what you can do, if you're brave, is actually get a wall ride. See, this is why I don't do it, because it seems inconsistent for me for some reason. I mean, I'm clearly just doing it wrong. You can use that wall ride to go up into the cannon. I am actually shocked that one didn't make it. Seriously. Again, you see why I don't do this. How is this not making it up? Are you serious? There we go. You can do that. Wall right up into the cannon like that. But if you don't do that, then just, you know, trick across the corner and drive into the cannon normally. I don't think that wall ride even saves that much time, so it's fine. As soon as you land from those barrels, you are good to warp away to Whistlestop Summit. Immediately here, I turn around to the left, get on these train tracks, and then jump off to the left again. It just gives you a boost that way. I don't know if it's actually much faster than just turning around normally, but it doesn't seem to be any slower either. Make sure to get this item. You can trick off of this, as I just did. I tend to shake my controller to do it. It seems less consistent when doing a button press, but hey, whatever works for you. So, trick there. That trick is very awkward to get. You won't always get it. Turn around there. Make sure to get that food item. That's also very important. Then you want to go through this pipe. Land here with a trick boost. Trick off this. Trick off this. You gotta be careful right here. Because you don't want to end up on this rail. If you end up on this rail, you're in a really weird spot, and getting to that panel without falling off is really hard. So you want to make sure you go to the left of this rail, so you kind of want to hit the left side of this panel. You can trick off this if you want. You want to make sure you slow down now while you are approaching panel number 3, because otherwise you'll fall off, and then you're going to have to rewind back up, and that loses time. So make sure, slow down, you want to take this turn gently. And now, this is where your items that you got are going to come into play. Because we're going to glide from here all the way over to that ledge that's right above Parabitty-Bud. You'll see what I mean. But in order to do that, we are going to use our speed items basically right after we trick from the glider. So watch how I use these. This one, use the next one before the first one ends, and then I will make it up here. And then I can land right here on this panel. This is very tough. It's deceptively tough. I make it look easy because I've practiced it so much. It's not easy. It will take some practice. Don't get discouraged. You'll get it. So, I will just explain things the best that I can, because it is weird. This is the weird one. It's hard to explain. Like, kind of a lot of things in this game sometimes. But I kind of go off of the corner here. You don't want to go off of the side. If you go off the side, you will end up having less height. So I go off the corner, and then I'm holding... It looks like I'm on my controller, I'm looking at what input I'm holding, and it's back right. I'm holding back right on my joystick. And I kind of just keep holding back right until I'm facing where I want to go, and then I hold down. So I'm actually kind of gradually shifting the direction I'm holding to guide myself toward where I want to go. See, this one, probably not going to have enough height. Yeah, I bonked. There is a thing you can do. If you don't have enough height, you can maybe save it if it's close. I'll try to show you what I mean here. You can save it by doing this. I didn't quite get it there. Sometimes you just don't have enough height even to save it doing that. But seriously, if you don't have enough height, just give it a shot. Just try this wall ride. It might save you. There it is. I think I actually might have gone over the panel there. Another thing that can happen here, this really sucks when it happens, is you can have too much height and you'll go over the panel and not activate it. It's so dumb, but it can happen. If you play this enough, I'm sure it'll happen to you at some point. So you want to make sure you kind of dip down if you're super high up. If you have any speed items left over, if you got like triple shrooms, for example, you only need to use 2 shrooms in order to make it over here. I don't think you can do it with just 1. Maybe if you're really, really good at this, you can do it with just 1. But if you have a shroom left over, if you have a bit of a golden left over, if you haven't used your dash food yet, you can use it to cut this corner. And that's just a small optimization you can do if you have it. If you don't, not a big deal. Just go around like normal. You can squeeze out a mini turbo here. You can trick off of this. I missed it. There's the trick. I think it was a little bit early. Drift around this corner. Drift around this one. Do not drift for too long here. That's important. If you drift for too long, you won't have room to do what you need to do to get to the next panel. So I do just a regular mini turbo, start charging a jump onto this rail, and immediately trick left off of it. Let me show that again. Trick, maybe even brake drift. I meant to say drift. Maybe even brake drift. Just a little bit. Jump onto this, jump left off of it, and then over to that panel. Now, if you're lucky, you will be able to jump off of the rail with enough time to get another drift out. Whoa, whoops. See, I didn't reset my stick to forward or neutral before doing my charge jump there, and that's why I got a drift. Yeah, see, that time I was able to squeeze out a mini turbo. So if you're able to jump off the rail soon enough, you can squeeze out a mini turbo. Sometimes you can't. Don't worry about it too much. And then, again, you can warp away early, go to Desert Hills. Turn around here. Drift left. Drift right. Do a little bit of snaking. Right around where Dry Bones placed those marks. Thank you, Dry Bones. You can start charging a jump. So, right here. Release it at the top of this. You want to release it like right here. Right about here. And jump to the left. See what happens. You hit the corner of this panel, and then you just kind of fly off to the left. And that helps out, because you want to go over this way next. Mini turbo, trick off this. Hard to jump. As soon as you land, you literally want to be holding the button right before you land. And it will charge one for you. What did I do there? As soon as I got the panel, I jump to the left and then do a trick off the wall, and you'll go back into your wall ride with some more speed. So like this. And then let the wall ride end naturally. Do not trick again off the wall, or you will go too far to the left. Let it end and let your momentum carry you over here. And you kind of want to swing out to the right. Start charging a jump right about here. Release it here. You can do this. So, this is another tricky thing, and the alignment for this is really important. And practicing this is also really important. That's why we swing out to the right. Start charging the jump right about here to make sure I have enough time. And the part I'm aiming for is sort of just to the left of this little peak here. If you know what I'm talking about, this sort of triangle that the sand makes, almost. I'm aiming just for the left of the peak of that triangle. And then you jump to the left. And you can just, get as many tricks out as you want. I think I actually try to get as many left tricks as I can, because, that's going to shift your cart. Tricking to the left or to the right will shift your cart in that direction. And that can be super helpful. But if my alignment's really good, I don't need to do that. But you can sort of see what I'm doing there. You want to get both of those panels kind of in one smooth motion. I didn't get the trick off of it. You want to make sure you're tricking right after you get that first panel, so you sort of trick off of the ledge like that. And that makes sure you just have enough speed and distance to, see, that's what happens when your angle's wrong. There you go. That's another tricky thing, but you'll get the hang of it. Rewind to make sure you're holding A, you know, trick off of that. You just play the rest of this like normal. That's my Desert Hills. I think this saves like 2-ish seconds over the other route. The other route is way easier, so if you just want to keep doing that, I totally get it. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking for world record strats, that's one of them. Okay, so Shy Guy Bazaar is, in my opinion, the hardest track in the early game, outside of maybe Crown City. There are a couple things I do that make this really difficult. So, I will explain this probably pretty slowly and as best as I can. Thank you. Sidestepper, thank you. I sort of turn to the left immediately so I can get a drift in. Squeeze out a mini turbo. Nope. There's not a retry button there in free roam. I don't know what I'm thinking. And then trick off of, like, this sand hill, basically. See, my alignment's messed up now, because you can't rewind all the way back to the start, which is really annoying. Trick off this, you want to land on this, almost immediately, not like right away, but pretty soon after, you want to trick to the right, just to get a little bit more speed. And then as soon as the rail starts curving to the left, right after it starts curving to the left, trick to the right again. And then keep just spamming your tricks. Keep spamming those right tricks. So, if done correctly. That was not done correctly. Done correctly. It'll look a little bit like that. Make sure you trick off of the ledge. You want to land here, just before this rail, and then get on this rail. Once you're on this rail, you want to trick twice, with a little bit of space between them. So, 1, 2... Maybe you don't want any space between them, actually. Just trick twice. Yeah, you don't actually need to put some space between them. So, trick once, trick twice, and then, see, you do not want to land on that rail, actually. Once, twice. Trick off here, you want to go over just barely over this rail. As soon as you're over that rail, you want to start pulling to the left again. And then land not in a wall ride. I didn't even know that was possible. Okay, that was kind of cool. You don't want to do that, though. No, you just want to land here. And then as soon as you land, brake drift to the right. So, see, the problem with showing it is that now I have to make the situation happen again. And then you want to jump off of the... Do not trick off that, actually. I mean, to be safe, if you want to play it safe, you can trick off that, but it's slower. You want to make it over there, ideally, without tricking. Like that. Because then you can easily slow down and turn around to get on this rail that we have to go to next. What happens if you do trick is the trick boost carries you into the wall and you have to wait for it to end until you can turn around. And so you lose a second or two doing that. It's safer, but it loses time. Oh, okay. I actually brake drifted a little bit too hard. This part in particular is extremely difficult. It takes a bit to get a feel for. So just practice it. What I do when I release my mini turbo, I stop holding brake, so I'm just holding accelerate, and then I pull back on my joystick to try and get as much height as I can. And I do those things at the same time when I release my mini turbo. You gotta be really careful not to jump off of this rail too soon, or you'll just land on that one. And it makes what I'm trying to do here not possible. There we go. So yeah, that's gonna take a lot of practice. If you can't get it, there's no shame in doing the old strat. That is totally acceptable. Anyway, you know, you'll do that, you'll get this panel, you'll kind of run into this wall a little bit, and then you can just turn around and get on this rail. Trick twice, maybe 3 times. You can squeeze out 2 tricks here if you want. Squeeze out 2 tricks here. Yeah, on this rail, trick 4 times. My cue to stop rewinding, once I rewind here, is like that purple flag. But also, you kind of want to be landing from the 3rd jump. That's kind of where you want to pick back up at, if that makes sense. So, I have to do kind of the whole thing again to accurately show what's going on here. You want to be landing right here, and then immediately trick off to the left. I do, I believe, 4 left tricks, I think it is. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it's 4 mid-air left tricks. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in total. Land right here, and you're gonna wanna, sort of trick. You're gonna wanna go off of, like, the left corner of this ramp that's right in front of me. Let me just show you. Kind of go this way, if that makes sense. I was actually a little bit far to the right, made it kind of awkward. Off this corner like this, and then just aim this way. And now when I land, I'm gonna hold brake as soon as I land, and turn to the right, and then get this panel. Let yourself fall into it. Just let yourself fall into it. Be careful with your angle here. If your angle is too parallel to this rail, you'll get on the rail. And if you don't brake and you end up having too much speed, you will fly over the gap and you won't be able to get the panel. So that's why you have to brake. And then, as soon as you get this panel, rewind, back up, and now when you land, you want to start a drift. You can squeeze out a mini turbo, because now we actually want to clear the gap. Just like that. You can squeeze out a mini turbo and then immediately trick over the gap. Even if you're... Okay, that one was... That messed my angle up a little bit, but like, even if you're just like a little bit off, if you clip the top of the ramp or the top of the gap or whatever, it's fine, you should still make it over. And then it's super easy to map warp away early. So, if you successfully learn that, you learned another one of the hardest tracks in the game, Guy Bazaar. I do some ridiculous stuff here, so... and again, if that was really tough for you, if you don't feel confident in it, there's no shame in doing the old strats there. Okay, on to Airship. I start this by turning around to the right. By the way, when I'm turning around, I'm holding accelerate and brake at the same time. That you start doing donuts that way. So when I say turn around, that's usually what I mean. You do kind of like a 270-degree turn, actually. And then you jump off that. You jump off this. It looks like this. You don't want to bounce on that rock if you can help it. Ideally, you clear the gap entirely. But if you do bounce on it, it's not a huge deal. If you... Whoops. Okay. I think that was Cockdoor. Bonked me. Kind of got in my way. If you turn to the left, it's still doable, but your angle is super awkward. I think it's tactically faster if you can get it consistently, but it just makes your angle really strange. Like, you see what I mean? So it's safer to not have to do that. Did the panel artifact just, like, persist in the... Oh. Oh, no, you can just see the background slightly past the, like, in the water of the map. I never noticed that. I just saw, like, the ghost of a panel and I was so confused. Okay. I even learned something new when I'm recording tutorials. That's wild. Alright, so back to what I was talking about. As soon as you land, you want to charge your jump, because we're going to do another smart steering jump to get this panel. Trick off the wall, sort of snake around here, get a super mini turbo around this corner. Just keep tricking to the right on this rail. Sometimes, very rarely, you'll kind of trick into Nabbit, and then you'll bounce off of Nabbit, sort of to the left, and it will just send you flying off. It just happens sometimes. Nabbit commits crimes and just yeets you off the ledge, basically. It just happens. If you really want to avoid it, you can, like, try to either make sure you, bump into Nabbit beforehand, or you can try to make sure you're behind Nabbit. It's weird. It's very strange. It's a very rare occurrence. As soon as you do that, start charging adrift to the right. Release it. Release your mini turbo. And now I'm sort of aiming for... How do I make sense of this? This torch right here is basically my cue. And it's the second torch in the wall. On the left wall. And what I'm aiming for exactly is to go just to the right of it, and then do a charge jump to the right to land on the wall, and that'll take me up into this panel. Actually didn't get the panel, I actually didn't have enough height for the panel this time, but you get on what I'm talking about here. There you go. I tend to, right after I get the panel... I know it. I tend to trick, like, back onto the wall, like this. Just gives you a little bit of extra speed. Go off of this glider ramp to the left of the binoculars. Go off of this glider ramp. And you want to angle down toward this panel. You have to be really careful with when you start angling yourself down here. If you do it too late, I believe it, yeah, this is too late. If you do it too late, that happens. You won't be able to get low enough to hit the panel. If you do it too early, then, you know, you have to kind of correct it, and then when you rewind, it'll make the rest of this harder. So get a feel for the timing of when to start dipping down toward this panel. Once you get it, rewind back up, because you want to land right here. If I have a mushroom, this is around when I use it, from the last item set. So it'll take you into this item set, you can get another beneficial item. Trick off this, get this, as soon as you get that panel, trick off to the right. Drift around this corner. You might need to use a brake drift depending on how much speed you have and what your angle's looking like. You can use your mushroom here if you want. Trick off this, and then into this panel, and you can warp away before you get to that last panel. And that is Airship Fortress. Alright, Wario Stadium. I consider this the end of the early game. I think probably the end of Guy Bazaar is roughly the end of the early game, but especially, like, when you're into Wario Stadium, you really have a run. This is a weird and kind of tricky route. Aren't they all? I am going to drive forward and start charging a jump probably right around this white mark here. Leap off to the left. So it's a charge jump to the left, over the off-road, and over this wall. And right about here. Started from the beginning in order to accurately replicate the scenario. immediately I start brake drifting to the right once I land. So I squeeze out a mini turbo right here, brake drifting to the left, go off this, and then you want to trick off of this, and then ride the billboard for like just a little bit, and then trick off to the left. That was a lot really quickly. The timing on this is kind of hard to describe. You kind of do need to just get a feel for it. And also this jump really sucks. Like, getting this trick off of this sand specifically is really annoying. You want to make sure you still have your trick boost here. That's why I go off so far left on this ramp. Because if you don't have your trick boost, the off-road slows you down, and then you can't get a trick, and then you don't hit the panel, and you don't get the wall ride, and it just completely ruins the entire strat. Yeah, excuse me. So, you really want to make sure you have your trick boost there. Still. Trick here, ride this up for a bit, trick off, do a bunch of left tricks to get yourself over to the left. Ideally, you land right about there, trick off this, forward the crane, trick once on the crane, toward the top, not at the very top. You don't want to start... You don't want that to happen, basically. But you'll trick once on the crane, and then toward the top, right before the peak. Trick off of it. You want to sort of... You trick forward. I trick forward off of it, but then you want to start tricking to the right. And sort of aim to go head-on at this billboard. And... Because you don't want to wall ride this billboard. You just want to almost slide your nose down it, if that makes sense. Just like that. You'll get the panel on the way, and then you'll land on this rail. And then you trick to the left to get off this rail. Trick here, and go in the pipe. Now, that was a lot, especially at the crane. It was a lot very quickly. Let me show it off again, at full speed. So you can see what this looks like when done right. Tough to commentate over this when I'm doing it at full speed because there's just so much going on. Okay, that's an example of when I had too much speed and I just completely flew over the billboard. That happens sometimes. Unfortunately, that's one of those situations that I don't 100% know how to consistently avoid yet. Hopefully I learn it now. That's just one of those things that can happen. I hate this crane. I really do. It's very annoying. Stuff like that happens. It helps if you trick early. I think what probably happened was I tricked over this bump, and so I just had my trick boost totally carry my momentum, and it ended up being too much. I think that's what happened. So you can fix that then by tricking early. I didn't get my trick when I wanted it. Yeah, there we go. See, that time I ended up with not enough speed. That's another thing that can happen. That's why I don't like this crane, because it's just... I don't know, the geometry of it makes speed management really difficult. It's very annoying. But with practice, you should be able to get it consistent enough to be comfortable doing it in routes. There we go, that should... close enough. You get the idea. It looks something like that. Go into this pipe. Trick once, twice, off to the right. As soon as you hit this, footwork. Mash. If you mash fast enough, then you can get squeezed out a trick right here. Trick boost. I like to charge a super mini turbo here. Remember, you have smart steering on, so you cannot charge an ultra mini turbo. So don't try. Get this item. Right before this panel, I start charging another drift. I start drifting again, is what I should say. Charging another super mini turbo. Trick off this. You want to land right here, on the flat part. It just kind of works out that... How am I trying to explain this? If you land on the slope, it kind of messes with your speed and angle a little bit. So if you can land on the flat part, you want to. Go right here, use your speed item if you got it, and then trick off that, get up, go for a wall ride, and then you can warp away early. Now, this quit warp, I need to show this off at full speed, otherwise it's not going to work. The reason we do this quit warp is, of course, twofold. Well, I should say, is twofold. Of course, the first reason is what you would think, right? It's to just cut off some travel time from one panel to the next. But the second reason is because there's a forklift in Toad's factory that we're going to use. And, excuse me, and quit warping resets the position of this forklift. Yes, I'm serious. Even if you quit warp on a separate track, it resets the position of this forklift anyway. It's ridiculous. It's I cannot believe this even works. So, but because of that, because this is cycle-based, essentially, then I need to show this off at full speed. So we're going to start from the quit warp. Trick. Get my Super Mini Turbo. Get my Mini Turbo. Trick. I didn't quite land on the flat part, but fine. Warp away to Toad's factory. I'm going to turn around to the left. Trick off of the ramp behind me. Hopefully get an item on the way. That tractor's in a good cycle. I'll talk about that later. I got a star. That's unfortunate. If you get a mushroom or a feather, you can jump off of that hill there. Because I got a star, I need to go around. And now look where this forklift is. It's right here. It can be either right here or it can be a little bit further along. I messed it up a little bit. You just want to jump off of this onto this layer. And that helps you get up to this panel. So that's why that's the other reason we quit warp there, and specifically it's the reason we go to Toad's factory right after Wario Stadium. Now, to go into this a little bit more in depth. Turn around to the left, forgot that, just gives you a good angle toward here. This tractor is on a, it's on a global cycle. This, bulldozer or whatever it is. It's unfortunately on a global cycle. Quit warping does not affect it. I don't think there's anything you can do about it. It just depends what time you get here at. So, hopefully you get here at a good time. Stop blocking this, you can go and easily get it. Now I can show you, if you have a mushroom, here's how you can use it to jump over here. Just do that. Just use it right about here. You want to trick off of it as well. You just get up here this way. It's really nice. And then your forklift is going to be probably either like right here or right over here. There are two spaces the forklift can be in, but they're both helpful. When you are going up this ramp, how I want to say this. When you're going up this ramp, you kind of want to take it slow at the top, just in case the forklift is right in front of you, so you can kind of maneuver over this way. If you see that it's a bit farther along, then you can do, you can approach it kind of like this. Unfortunately, the only way to really show you what I mean is to have it happen, and so that means we have to go back to Wario Stadium and demonstrate it all over again. Okay, that's awkward. Don't do that. This is still fine, though. This is still fine for demonstration purposes. Alright, that's a good cycle. Got a mushroom. I didn't get my trick. See, I didn't make it over because I didn't get my trick. There we go. Put on here in case it's right in front of me. Alright, it's not. So, and then what we can do is this. See what I mean? And then we go over here. Got these. You want to slow down right here. If you don't slow down, you see, you just hop over it. So, when you're approaching this bump, you need to slow down just a bit. start charging a jump immediately, so you can jump over that. Mini turbo here. Just follow my line, basically. Yeah, there's not too much to say. Once you are past, like, this part. Just follow my line. Although, actually, I will say, you're gonna want to learn the positioning of this rail, so you can easily jump onto it. And then when you're at the top of it, before it stops inclining, the very top, just jump off to the right. Drift around this corner. You can use these coins as kind of a cue of when to jump off. You want to land on this rail if you can, and then immediately, once you land on it, trick off to the left. So trick off this, land on here, immediately off to the left, and then you'll kind of land in a wall ride that'll take you into the panel. Now, often, you're probably going to end up going too far to the left, and you're just going to land down here, and that's also fine. I think it's just a tad slower, but it's really not a big deal. The problem is, if you go too far right, you land here. And that is an issue. So make sure you're not going too far right. You can go too far left and it's fine, but don't go too far right. And that's Toad's Factory. Also, the forklift strat is absolutely called forklift certification, by the way. Okay, Choco Mountain has one of the silliest strats, probably the silliest strat in the entire run. We'll get there when we get there. First, you need to turn right, go through here, get this, and then we want to thread the needle through these two barriers as well. Just like that. And yeah, you can totally trick off that. Now, what happens if we hit a barrier? I'll hit it on purpose just to show you. You get stopped, and then you drown in the mud. So you really want to make sure you do not hit a barrier. If you hit the barrier, and it kills your speed, you have to rewind, otherwise you will drown in the mud. Now the barriers aren't there for my demonstration, so if you're practicing this and you want to bring the barriers back, just quit free roam. It respawns them. And then you can warp back to Choco Mountain and try it again. There we go. Once you're on here, drift, start charging a jump right around this white mark. That vehicle is in my way. Like in real life. Object boost off of this. Be careful how far right you go after that object boost. It is deceptively easy to run into this wall, just like that, and then you won't make it up. And then you'll drown in the mud, and then you'll be very sad. Get on this rail. I like to trick right about here, just to get a trick boost out. You don't have to, but, you know, the trick boost is faster. Okay. What I'm doing here, this is really important. I'm tricking a right at the end of this rail, and I am spamming another right trick to get a wall ride. Just like that, and then if you keep holding right, you should be able to land right here. We're gonna get this panel, and what's coming up next is what has been dubbed Willy Bonka. You want to slow down as you're coming off of this, so you can bonk off of this billboard and land right here in front of this panel. Yes, I'm serious. This is the actual way we get this panel. So, like that. You have to turn in midair here as well. Oh, that was strange. You can't go too slow either. If you go too slow, nothing happens. So it definitely takes some practice, gotta get a feel for the amount of speed you need here. See, that was a bit too slow. I just kind of ended up landing. Oh, that was a lot of bombs. Yeah, don't go too slow. Yeah, you wanna... What I do is I angle my camera down. I hold down on my right stick, and then I just hold right on my left stick. And that happens. If you don't turn in midair, then... I'll show you what happens. You don't bonk. If you don't turn in midair, Smart Steering activates, and you don't bonk. And so, you don't end up going into the panel. So you need to make sure you get the bonk in order to actually go back to the panel. That's why you have to turn in midair like this. So that way you bonk. Practice this. This one takes practice. If you land here, it's fine, just turn around. Not that big of a deal. And then rewind all the way back to the rail, trick right off the rail, get this item. Hopefully it's a mushroom. The stars, fine. Use whatever item you get, unless it's a feather. Feather doesn't matter. Do not go too fast up this slope, though. So if you've got, like, triple mushrooms or whatever, don't use the last one here. If you're too fast up the slope, you will overshoot the panel. So, if you're in a star, then you want to make sure you slow down here. Because you want to land on or before this panel. And then once you get that panel, or are, you know, have landed and are on the path to it, you're free to warp away to Peach Stadium. Good news is that things are a little bit easier for a couple of tracks. I wouldn't call them easy overall, but there's nothing quite as ridiculous as Choco Mountain or Guy Bazaar for a handful of tracks. But yes, Peach Stadium. I like to jump onto this rail, trick off it right here, let a mini turbo go and trick off of this. As soon as I land, I drift to the right, get this panel, drift to the right around this. This vending machine you gotta watch out for. As you can see, it just spit out a banana. If you hit that banana, it slows you down, as you can imagine. So you don't want to do that. Now, this vending machine can also spit out a star, it can spit out a mushroom, or it can spit out dash food. Those, obviously, are all beneficial items. The dash food especially. I feel like the dash food goes a little bit farther than the banana does. So you might be able to alter your trajectory in such a way that you avoid the banana but get the dash food if it comes out. If that makes any sense. But if you want to play it ultra safe, just give it a wide berth. This dash food doesn't save a huge amount of time, so it's not a huge deal if it spawns and you don't get it. It's okay. But yeah, drift around here. Hit this panel, go into this pipe. Trick to the left. Don't trick too far left. If you go too far left, start going like this way, you don't want to go that way. You want to land right about here. Mini turbo, drift again. Super mini turbo. And, okay, I've seen a couple of different ways to do this next part. Some people will do an object boost off this pipe. I don't like to do that. I find it's difficult to get enough speed to actually clear this rail. What I like to do is that. I kind of messed it up there. I want to land in a wall ride, actually. Looks like this. There we go. And you can see how that's fast. If you land on the rail, it kind of messes up your angle. You can see I have to turn back to the right now in order to get to the panel. It's not the end of the world if you do land on the rail. Like, it's not going to kill you around or anything, but it does lose a little bit of time. That's all. Oh, and when I'm doing this charge jump over the rail, I'm doing a charge jump to the right. Then, you know, land on that, trick off that. You can trick off of... Okay, there are a whole bunch of tricks you can get here. At the end of Peach, like the second half of Peach Stadium is all about squeezing out as many tricks as you can. So, trick here, get the panel, trick here, trick here, trick here, trick here. You can, if you land, before this, you can even trick here. You can even trick here. You can trick here. You can trick here, and you can trick here. And then you trick left off of that rail. It's so many tricks all in a row at the end of each stadium. And you want to hit as many of them as you can, because you want to get as many trick boosts as you possibly can. But I'll demonstrate this again, because it's kind of an awkward route, but pay attention to where I go here. Oh, and learn where this panel is, because you can't see it until you're basically on top of it, so learn where it is, so you can get to it blind. Make sure you land on here. You don't have to, ultimately, like, if you do miss landing on there, let's say, oops, I went a little bit too far left. Like, it's not the end of the world, right? You're fine. Your run can continue. But, I believe it is fastest to land, right here. This trick in particular, on this bump, is super inconsistent. Don't worry if you don't get it. If there actually is any trick you really want to make sure that you get, it is this one. Because then you have speed going up this ramp. If you don't get your trick from here, then you're really slow going up this ramp, and it sucks. You really want to make sure you get this one. And this one, I guess. The rest are nice to have, but not, like, ultra important, you know? Actually, this one. I think this one's pretty important, too. But this one's an easier one to get. Otherwise, you know, you end up going kind of slow up here. This last one, this last trick, I guess, is kind of important. You want to make sure that you're angled to the left here, so that you end up in a wall ride and get up to this rail. Even if you missed the trick before, you can still get it. And then once you land right here, as long as you're, you know, pointed toward the panel, then you are free to warp away. It goes to Faraway Oasis. At the start of this track, immediately turn to the right. We're going to cut through this opening right here. Go over this way. Drift right. Drift left. As soon as you get the panel, rewind back to right about here. And now we're going to drift through these items. And then trick off the ledge. So just like this. What I like to do is do just a little bit of a brake drift to get this item, and then delay this item just enough that it also counts, so I get two items at once. If you get them too quickly in succession, it will only give you one of them. There's like a lockout before you can get another item, basically. And then I am tricking off of like this. How do I explain it, actually? No, it's off of right here. This like a dark part of the texture. This is where I want to trick off of. Sort of just to the left of it. So, looks like this. And then land here. Just follow my line. Once you land here, you can charge a jump. Trick off. Oops. I'm supposed to trick off this. You can charge another jump to help you get up the slope. And there you go. If you have a feather here, like I do right now, you can actually use it right here to help you get up the slope. Watch out for these zebras, by the way. They will get in your way. It's gonna happen. You just gotta be cautious of it and try to avoid them whenever possible. Sometimes you can have a star here, and that might actually help you with the zebras. There's a mushroom. Star. You really want to see at least one mushroom. Because then you can use it right here. I tend, when I have a speed item, not to use it until after I get this panel. Otherwise I find that I have too much speed. You know, I might fly over this panel. I might kind of go off to the side here when I'm trying to get around this rock. It just becomes a little bit uncontrollable. I guess you could trick there if you wanted to. If you have a mushroom, use it. If you have 2 mushrooms, use them both. But, you just want to ignore as much off-road as you possibly can. You have to go into that pipe I just went into. There's no other way up to this panel. Trust me, we've tried. Go off to the right here. Trick off this, land on this rail. Before it slopes up, trick off to the right. Be careful for these... What are these, bowls? I think so. Be careful for these. You want to go to the right of them. Start charge, you can jump right here, and then let it go, and into this panel. If you have a mushroom still, you can use it right about here. But be careful about having too much speed, because if you have too much speed, it's going to make this jump into the panel a bit more difficult. If you have smart steering off, you can bonk into this wall, and it counts as getting the panel. But because we have smart steering on, it's not going to let me bonk into the wall, and we can't do it, unfortunately. So we do have to charge a jump and get it this way. That's like one of the very few downsides to having smart steering on. I guess if you have a star like I do right now and you want to be a bit reckless with it, you can just use it to fly through these animals. Do that. Anyway, as soon as you get that panel, that's one that's kind of hard to warp away early, but once you got it, or you're confident that you're about to get it, you can warp to Dino Jungle. You know, I should explain my map routing, because I really haven't explained my map routing yet, so I'm going to take... Since we're roughly around the halfway point anyway, this is a good time, actually, to take a quick second, talk about this. If you're watching this and you haven't stretched your hands, you haven't had any water, you're following this guide, please take a moment to take care of yourself. I'm actually going to do the same thing right now. So, my map routing. Obviously, we have to start here in Mario Bros. Circuit. And then we go down to Crown City, because going down to Crown City right away gives us usually the good glider truck RNG. Usually, not always. And then from there, it's just about... getting to tracks that are as close together as possible, and diagonals end up being really good for this. So we go to Koopa Troopa Beach, we kind of start going around the southwest corner. Hills, up to Guy Bazaar, up to Airship Fortress. And then this is where we start going diagonally with one exception. We go down diagonally to Wario Stadium, but then remember, if you remember the quit warp thing, we have to go up to Toad's Factory. Normally, we would just keep going down the line, but because we have to go up to Toad's Factory, we just go up this way, and then down to Choco Mountain, and then we continue the line down this way. And if you're following along, you might be able to understand what we're doing next. Up to Peach Beach, along the diagonal up here. Normally, we would take it to Toad's Factory, but we've already done it. So after Moo Moo Meadows, we just go up to Mario Circuit, take the diagonal down to Wario Shipyard, go up, take the diagonal all the way up, and then just keep going across the top. And then we end in Bowser's Castle. This is at least my map routing. Someone else might have a different idea. I don't think we've ever fully done any in-depth testing as to whose map route is faster. I'm pretty confident that mine is pretty good. I have a world record after all. It's probably pretty good. Ultimately, it's probably not going to matter that much in the grand scheme of things. And make sure, by the way, when you're doing your map movement, that you zoom the camera out, because your cursor moves faster when the camera's zoomed out. See? it moves at the same speed across the screen, but if you're zoomed out more, then it's going to move from track to track faster, if that makes sense. Okay, back into the actual, like, routing tutorial, strat tutorial part of things. With Dino Jungle. At the start of Dino Jungle, once again, we turn around, trick here, start drifting right before these items, just drift around this corner, you can squeeze out a Super Mini Turbo. I generally don't trick off of this, because then I overshoot this, this boost panel. So I just do one mid-air trick, and then I'll get the boost panel, and once you land here, you can use your items, because you'll get them back when you rewind. So, do this. Rewind as soon as you get the panel. You do need to trick here. If you don't trick here, this happens. It's, you know, again, not the end of the world, but it is slow. So make sure you trick there. I find this slope is a good time to use my items. There's not, like, a perfect time for items in this route, but, you know. You want to go up this way. Make sure to get that panel. Don't forget about that panel. And then when we're approaching the top, brake drift. Brake drift around this corner. If you have any mushrooms, you can use them. Get this, and then rewind. As soon as you turn, stop rewinding. You'll want to hold accelerate. I didn't there, but you will want to. So it's gonna look... Okay. This, you don't always get the trick there, it's weird. It's gonna look like this. We'll go around. I like to start drifting here. If you do it right, you can squeeze out a mini turbo before you're fully turned around. You can also... You're gonna want to use the wall to help you turn around too. It's another benefit of smart steering. Trick off this. Get this panel on the way up. Trick off this. Be careful about this rail. And this ramp. If you're too far to the left here, then weird stuff can start happening, like this. So just be careful. This is a weird one. If you have a bunch of speed, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get it to happen here. If you have a bunch of speed and you end up like wall riding the wall just to the left of the rail, it's fine, just let the wall ride end, and then turn right back onto the rail. You're fine, that happens. Jump off right here. Right on this section. The section that's pointed directly at the spring. And land on the spring, trick off the spring as well. Land right here. Go up this, you want to trick at the top of this rail. And then that's just a neutral trick, and then I do one directional right trick in midair to land right here. You don't want to land on the rail necessarily. If you do, you can trick off of it and then turn around this way. You could also just do, I mean, this even, but this is slow, because we want to end up going this way. But, yeah, one right trick, and then I do like a normal turn here even. I've seen some people do a drift, but I find it's really easy to accidentally end up on the rail if you do a drift. And so, for safety, I just slow down, take it slow. Start drifting right here, you want to drift over this. Don't trick, just drift over it. And then let that kind of carry you into that rail. This is a really tricky ending. Because you want to be aligned with the rail so that it catches you. If you're not aligned with the rail, you'll just go this way, or like you'll end up falling, you know, down here. That's really bad. You want to start your drift in advance, and then just let it carry you over the gap, and then let the rail catch you. And then that will align you into going forward into this last panel. So, ending looks like this. Alright, on to question block ruins. This is a weird one. This is a bit technical, a bit non-standard. There's some weird stuff that happens on this one. Go this way, get this item, spam the crap out of this item. Seriously, just spam it. If you get a feather and you're spamming it fast enough, it's fine. If you're not spamming it fast enough and you get a feather, then you're gonna end up on top of the blocks that are above the panel, and then you can't break them because you're on top of them. So then you have to like rewind and try it again, and it's really weird and bad, and you're unhappy. If you get anything that isn't a feather, you'll still use it immediately to cut this off-road. So whatever the item is, you just want to use it immediately, so spam your trick button. If I get something that's not a feather here for demonstration purposes, there we go. If you get a star, it's actually kind of annoying. It's like kind of harder to slow down. Anyway. Can I get something that's not a star, please? Or a feather, please? Can I get... Okay, a mushroom item. Thank you. If it's a golden, then you can... If it's a golden or a triple shroom, you can use it again right here. But you don't want to use it here. You actually want to slow down right here, because you want very little speed going off this ledge. If you have too much speed going off this ledge, see, that was way too much. You end up flying over where you want to be. I think it is possible to even go too slow. It didn't happen. Occasionally you can go too slow and like something weird happens. You like lock in on a wall ride somewhere you don't want to be wall riding. It's really strange. Hopefully that doesn't happen to you. Yeah, you want to be going really slow. Just start tricking to the left, and then you'll land right here. Let your momentum take you into this rail. If you want to play it safe, you can just let the rail take you up to the panel. A small optimization that I do is... As soon as the rail, like, curves, as soon as it curves left, I trick. Because then I can get a trick boost that way. And that's just a little bit faster. So it looks like that. Trick off this, you want to land on this rail. Trick right about here. You want to fly over this, like, plant thing. And your trick boost is going to help you out there, too. Fly over this plant thing. Trick off this cloud. Land here. I tend not to trick here or here. What happens if you do is you kind of overshoot the pipe. It actually didn't happen to me there, but you can overshoot that pipe. But you do wanna go through that pipe, so you make it over here. I can't rewind now because you can't rewind past pipes, which is really annoying. So I have to do everything over again to get back to where I was. But that's okay. That gives me an opportunity to showcase the route so far. Right, I got a star. That's fine. I played that. It's safe. I don't normally take it that safe. I tend to trick in midair here. Go through this pipe, trick through this pipe. And then we want to go into this pipe. By the way, bad RNG that it's raining. That lowers your traction. So that kind of sucks that that happened right now. Alright. So after going through this pipe, I start setting up for something I very simply just call pipe skip. We're skipping the last pipe. Let me show you what you would do normally first. This is the safe strat if you don't want to do pipe skip, because pipe skips are really difficult. The safe strat is to just go through here, wait until you stop spinning, so right about now, and then start spamming right tricks. That will turn you around. Be careful not to trick off of cloud, though. Oh, whoa, that was weird. That might have had something to do with the rain, I'm not quite sure. Right, so wait till you're done spinning, start tricking to the right. hold accelerate, and then you can land right here, and then probably as soon as you land, you're good to warp away. That's the save strat. If you want to save a couple seconds, you can do the pipe skip. Set up for the pipe skip. Do not trick coming out of this pipe. And then after you land, you want to just tap left. Just tap it. If you go directly forward, you get sucked into the pipe. If you go any farther left, the strat doesn't work. So you just want to tap left. Should still get this panel, and then you'll fall off here. Immediately start tricking to the right. Once you land here, hold brake. This is tough to explain and show at the same time because of the way rewinding works with panels. So, every time I want to go back to the start of this, go back through here. Sorry, because of the way rewinding works with pipes, not panels. Tap left, start tricking right, hold brake as soon as I land, and then that should happen. How do I explain this? I am aiming for a specific spot on this cloud. I would love to just land here so I can look at the thing. But it's very tricky to do. I just want to land there so I can show something. Oh my god. Okay. So, this cloud. You see the part that's sticking out the most, that's closest to Parabitty right now? I want to sort of fall next to the section to the left of that. You don't want to land on the cloud, that's bad. But you want to... the side of the cloud acts like a wall, right? And so you want to fall next to that wall. But in this case, it's the section of cloud that's to the left of the part that's sticking out. That's like the best way I can explain it. It's really weird. But I want to fall right... See, that was actually the part that's sticking out. I want to fall right here. If you get the part that's sticking out, it's going to push you away from the floating island, and you're not going to make it. But that's the best I can describe it. It's strange. You have to practice this. You have to practice this to get a feel for it. So, to actually continue to demonstrate what I was doing. The other thing I was doing is, I believe I was tricking in midair. So, start tricking to the right, hold brake, and then as soon as I'm off, as soon as I fall off the ledge, I start holding accelerate again, and I trick in midair. And then you should land on the floating island, and then you can go to the panel. So to demonstrate it once more at full speed. Just like that. The cool thing about this is if you accidentally trick when you're coming out of the pipe, that's going to make it not work. That's fine. You can just go into the last pipe and do the safe strat. If you accidentally don't go far enough left and you get sucked into the pipe, that's okay. You can do the safe strat. Excuse me. However, if you go too far left, or you just mess up... Oh, another thing, actually, that's really important to mention that I forgot to mention. Because I have to go all the way back there to show it off again. Do not trick off the ledge, either. You want to start tricking after you fall off the ledge. Do not trick off of the ledge itself. That time I actually somehow braked a little bit too much, but But yeah, if you can mess it up in such a way that it's extremely difficult to back up, so do be aware of that. Yeah, it's a tough one. You gotta practice that strat if you want to use it. It does save a second or two overall, maybe even more. I'm not quite sure, but again, that's another situation in which there is no harm in doing the safe strat. All right, so Peach Beach. This track is in kind of two sections, because there's a map warp in the middle of it, where we literally map warp back to the track itself. But I tend to start by going to the right side. You go over here, start your jump, you can do it through the off-road, doesn't matter. Be careful about doing too many tricks here, because... well... it's so annoying that you can't rewind back to exactly where you started. Yeah, be careful doing too many tricks here, because you just end up here, and you don't want to be up there. Slow down to get this panel, otherwise you'll overshoot. Go over here. And then, once you are about to get that panel, you can map warp back to Peach Beach. A small optimization I do is try to get the boost from this boost panel. Even though you're not going off the ramp, if you go next to the ramp, it still gives you the boost, as you can see. So that's just a little fun thing you can do. Another fun, but very pointless thing you can do is get launched by this Cataquack. That is kind of in a bad spot there, but... it doesn't really slow you down, and you can do a trick to get a trick boost when you land. I don't think it's actually faster, but it's a thing you can do. But yeah. So, map warp, back to Peach Beach, and we get to do the second half. At this line, charge your jump onto here, trick off here, charge another jump. Just for a little bit of speed. Drift around this corner. Watch out for NPCs, they like to hug that wall. Right here. Right at this turn. Right at this bend. Jump off, land on this panel, rewind back up. Trick up right here, trick off to the left to land on this roof. And now, what you do here is going to depend on what item you have. If you have a mushroom, you want to angle yourself slightly to the right. And use the mushroom, don't forget the trick. Use the mushroom, don't forget the trick, land here, go in the pipe. If you have a feather, then you can just kind of go off here, use the feather to bounce up into the pipe. If you have a star, then you cannot make the jump normally, and what you have to do is charge a jump and release it right there, and then you can make it over. That's definitely the trickiest part, is if you get a star. Just like that. There you go. And then the rest of this is pretty straightforward. If you have any speed items, use them accordingly. And then you can map warp over to Salty Speedway. This is one of the most difficult tracks on the run. There are a lot of difficult jumps here. I'm gonna start by doing something... You know, I haven't named this, and I feel like I should give it a name, what I do at the start here. I trick, I trick off this rail to the left, but then I hold right. If I keep holding left, it will start a wall ride. If I hold right, I avoid that wall ride. Sort of slide around the wall, and then right before I land, I'm going to switch back to holding left to go into that panel. So to do that all at full speed, looks like that. Trick here out of the water. You want to go at this angle, trick right here. You want to get an item from here, go in between these two benches, do a drift as you get that item as well. You really want to get two items here, because you need either a mushroom or a feather for the ending, and which means you can't get a star. But if you get 2 items, you can't get the same item twice, so you're guaranteed to have a non-star item. This, here, go with this angle, grab this, between the benches. Be careful how you take the section right after the waterfall, because if you, I think, do a trick over that bump, you'll jump over the panel and you won't get the panel. So just be very careful. Make sure you get the panel there. Once you come out of here, trick to the right a bit. You don't need to do it like a ton. We're gonna go over this way. If you have speed items, you can use them here, because we will rewind back to right before these stairs, then turn around, go between these 2 flagpoles. I like to for even a bit of an extra cue, you can go to the right of this table. Trick off this, trick off this, trick off this. Object boost off of this. The right side is the better side here to object boost off of. And then land in a wall ride right here, let it naturally fall off, and then do a mid-air trick and land on this rail. It's pretty tricky, but once you get it down, you get it down. So you'll be stopping right about here, so turn around. Over here, trick, 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 object boost, and in a wall ride. You want this trick, because otherwise you won't have really enough speed to do what you need to do. So this trick is really important, so that you have the trick boost speed going into this section. I'll do it once more. It is possible for NPCs to get in the way, and there's not much you can do when that happens, except try to go around them. There you go. Trick off to the left. You have a mushroom, an extra mushroom, I should say. This is a good spot for it. And now, if you have a mushroom, you could do the mushroom version of this last jump, which is go this way. You want to mushroom, well, right as you are getting onto the slope, and then trick off of this like lamppost. You'll object boost off of it. Show you what I mean. Oh, I was actually a little bit too far to the left there. Let me try that again. Like that. But my alignment wasn't great. I ended up a little bit to the left of the panel. Unfortunately, that's like a breakable item, or a breakable object, and so it goes away. So that makes practicing it really annoying. A backup you can do is to trick off this Yoshi sign, but that's a way harder target. There you go, you can do that. If you have a mushroom, if you have a feather, you're gonna want to go this way, off to the left. Oh wow, I have a bunch of NPCs and enemies and people in my way, that's annoying. That's really annoying, actually. The placement of this Yoshi and the Shy Guy are directly in my path right here. You would use your feather right about there. Right about here. And that would just take you right up to where that last panel is. Very nice and easy if you have a feather. I'm gonna run through this once more, just to show you what it all looks like at full speed. Ugh, you be careful about that rail. I did a lot of that wrong. I didn't get the item, I accidentally hit that rail, which completely ruined my angle. That Shy Guy is directly in my way. That will happen. Play this game enough, an NPC will get in your way there. It just happens. I got a feather, so now I can show you exactly what the feather version looks like. And then I'll use this golden mushroom to try and show off the mushroom version again. It's really important, by the way, that you don't end up too high on this wall ride. Also careful with your angle, because if you are not parallel enough to the wall, then you won't wall ride at all, and you'll just fall down, and you'll be very sad. So yeah, if you end up too high on this wall, then bad things happen. So if you have too much, it's possible to have too much speed there if you try to use like a mushroom or something. Yeah, if you have a feather, go this way, you can trick off this, use it right here. There you go. And show you this with the mushroom, and now this boat is in my way. That's gonna take some practice, especially the mushroom version. So, you know, give it some practice. On to what I would consider the actual most difficult track in the entire run, Cheep Cheep Falls. There's a lot going on here, as there was in Salty Salty Speedway. We're gonna start by drifting to the right. I went a little bit, I started going to the left there to give myself a better angle. I tend not to trick off this. I feel like the extra speed does not help me. Charge a jump. That's not where I wanted to go with it. I charge a jump, and I jump forward into this tree. This is not an object boost, generally. This tree acts as a wall, actually, and so it's going to try to initiate a wall ride, but we can sort of jump out of it. You'll see what I'm trying to do. I basically just, like, spam trick here. Yeah. Looks like that. Once I jump into the tree, like after I let go of my charge jump, then I hold right and just spam trick. Just like that. Sometimes you'll get a couple of tricks, sometimes you'll just get the one. The idea is to land on this rail is the fastest place you can land, but to the right of the rail is also fine. You just want to make sure you clear the gap. If you don't clear the gap, then you have to rewind and try it again. But yeah, if you get on this rail, then just jump off to the right there, go over this panel, get back on the rail, jump off of it right before the last tree. You want to object boost off of the last tree, and then land on this seam thing. I don't know what to call this. I just call it a seam. This does not count as off-road for some reason, so you can go full speed on it, which is awesome. Right around, here-ish, you want to start charging another jump. Let it go around here. Around here-ish. I can force so much. The rewind is being weird. Alright. Whoop. Bungled it. Make sure you're aligned. There we go. Like, go over here. You can do a double wall ride there. You can trick off that. Get that panel. Trick off of this. Trick off this. Charge your jump into here. Aim to land right on this, like, orange line. If you're too high, weird stuff happens. You can trick off this wall ride. But do not use your speed item if you have one. Right after falling off the ledge, you want to slow down a bit. You don't want a lot of speed going off the slider. Because what we're trying to do is enter the middle section of this structure. Just like that. Onto that panel. And if you, let me show you what happens if you have too much speed. If you, like, trick off this, then you can't get in, because you have too much speed. You just fly over it. Or even if you're just going forward and you don't slow down at all, it becomes a lot harder to get in there. So you have to slow down. And then I tilt my camera down too to help me out. You're going to want to hold a brake as you land, by the way, and then turn to the left. So, do this. I also trick left into it, and then hold brake. If you need to turn around to get to the panel, turn around to get to the panel. And then go this way. Unfortunately, okay, we want to fall onto this rail. And it's kind of a blind leap, a little bit, so you do need to get a feel for exactly where it is. Thankfully, it has at least a little bit of leniency. trick off at the very end of it, and then before you land, you can warp away, and you'll get the panel as you're warping away. I'm gonna actually do one playthrough of Cheep Cheep Falls at full speed, because this is, like I said earlier, probably the hardest one in the game. Of course, it's raining, and so my traction's gonna be lower. Of course, that would happen. It's fine. I should still be able to do this. It might make the ending really weird. It made that really weird, that's for sure. I wasn't really able to get the angle I needed there. Yeah, that rain is totally messing me up, actually. That's really bad RNG. Oh, I accidentally got the trick there. You see why I don't want the trick there, is because extra speed is not necessarily a good thing in this instance. Happened again. Yeah. Never ready for the trick. There we go. Land on the rail. Trick off the rail, get the panel back onto the rail. Hold right. Object boost to the right, off the tree. Drive on the seam. Stop raining. Tried to do the double wall ride, but I messed it up. Double wall ride. Trick here, get the panel. Trick here. Trick here. Wall ride. Slow down. Go up there. Trick left, inside, slow down, find the rail, get on the rail, jump to the very end of the rail, and then there we go. On to Moo Moo Meadows. On Moo Moo Meadows, we're going to start by going to the right, through this off-road, hand drift through this off-road. Use out a super mini turbo if you can. On this panel, I start drifting right about at the panel. Go to the right off this ramp, use it for some speed. Follow my line. I go to the right here to get this panel, and then rewind back to the middle. Make sure you get this item. We really want to see a feather from this item box, and I'm actually going to keep re-rolling it until we see a feather. Oops. I will show you what to do if you don't get one, but I want to show you what to do if you get one first, because it's cool. And it saves time. There's a feather. Okay. So... drift around this. You want to be able to get a super mini turbo from that turn. So, you drift on as you get over the panel. Super mini turbo, release it. Release a, do a charge jump and release it as you're going up the slope. Remember, if you release a charge jump while you're going up a slope, you get extra height. So that goes like this. You want to object boost off that pole. Go off this. Get this panel, and then you want to land on this rail. Actually missed it there. Land on this rail. Jump over this gap. Land here. Get the medallion. You don't need to trick off of the, you don't need to trick as you're going off of the billboard, but you do want to trick in midair on the way down. And then, toward the top of the slope, use the feather. Right here. And that gets you up to this building where the last panel is. So at full speed... Once I rewind all the way back there, at full speed it's going to look like this. It's pretty cool. I love that feather use. It's one of the very few times a feather is the best item you can get. Now, what happens if you don't get a feather? Because most of the time, you're not going to get a feather. Obviously, you play the beginning like normal. Item. Of course it's a feather this time. Of course it's a feather this time. It's trolling me. There we go. You do this part as normal. But then you want to take a, you want to turn more to the left as you're getting this panel. You can go over this way. You will have, if you don't have a feather, that means you have a mushroom or you have a star. Use it to break through this fence. If you have triple mushrooms or a golden, you can use it a bit earlier, right here. If you have only a single mushroom, use it right here to break through this fence. And now is where things get tricky. You want to drift over this way and line up with this rail and go up this rail. I tend to just let my momentum carry me here. Go off this ramp, and then here's the last panel. You have to do a little bit of a roundabout way to get there if you don't have a feather. If you have a golden or triple shrooms or a star, you can try to use it to help you through this off-road and go on the rail like that, but it's tough. It's tough to do. It's really difficult to judge exactly where that rail starts, because the start point of this rail is kind of over this hill, and so you don't really have a good visual on it. So I tend to, even if I have a speed item, I tend to not use it in this last grass section, just to play it safe. You also have to be careful with your speed. You don't want to trick off the top of that, because you'll trick over the building and then you won't be able to get over. That's why I tend to just not do anything and just let my momentum carry me into the building. But that's how you do that. That's how you take the ending if you don't have a feather. But that should be everything on Moo Moo Meadows. Moving on to Mario Circuit. This is the quickest track in the game. Turn around to the right. Start your jump. Let go of it right about here. Make sure you follow my line. Pay attention to the angles I take. Soon as you land here, start turning to the right. Get this panel. Trick off this. Go into this pipe. Very, very important. As you're exiting this pipe, spam right trick. And then once you're over to the right, you can do, like, you know, a forward trick, maybe a left trick. And then we want to trick at the top of this slope to get up to the third layer. I'm gonna have to redo this now because of the way, you know, rewinds work with pipes and everything. It's weird. Is that coin coffer? That just bonked me. Here and get up to the third layer. If you don't get up to the third layer right away, you probably have to restart the track. Because you're not going to be able to get the trick boosts that you got earlier from a rewind, and it'll mess up your speed. You probably won't be able to make it. It's really, really annoying if you don't make it up here. So you need to make it up here first try, unfortunately. Once you do, trick here, trick off to the left here, and then start braking once you land. So you can roll over that panel. Get on this rail. Once you're on this rail, brake even harder, because you want not a lot of speed. And what will happen is, when the rail curves diagonally, jump off of it, forward. Just jump forward off of it. So it looks like this. And then start spamming right trick. And then you get to the panel right there. You have to have a bit of a specific amount of speed here. If you're going too slow, you'll land right here. And that's bad. If you're going too fast, you won't quite make it to the panel. So you need to go pretty slow, but not too slow. That was very close to too slow. So, let's do this again at full speed. See, that was too slow. That'll work. And then once you do that, you want to rewind back up. Make sure you are holding accelerate. as you're going back up. So you keep accelerating, and then just jump off before it turns to get this item. Spam the item. Well, not spam the item, but make the roulette end early by, pressing the trick button. The item button. Because you want to use your item to skip this patch of grass, unless it's a feather. If it's a feather, you want to wait to use it until you are right here. Of course, this is in my way. There we go. Jump off here. Be really careful for those binoculars. Don't run into those, or you will lose a bunch of time if you do. Feather again. I want to show you what you do if you don't get a feather. Literally anything that's not a feather, please. Take it. The star I can use to cut through this off-road. Hard to jump. Get up onto here. What if all I got was a single mushroom? If you get a single mushroom, you can use it to get through this patch of grass, or this patch of sand. So just do this. Start your jump right here. There you go. I actually want to do a full Mario Circuit playthrough. Because this is another one that is weird and technical and goes by really quick. And it's a lot to take in. But I just want to show you what happens when you put it all together. That probably would have gotten the panel. It would have been close. That didn't work at all. Let's try that one more time. See, this is tough. And again, if you have a route here that you're more comfortable with, totally fine to do that instead. Nobody said you have to take all of the routes from this video. Pick the ones that work best for you. Go. And then warp to Dandelion Depths. We're gonna start this by going off to the right, trick off of it, start a drift almost immediately, and drift into the panel. So, and then I like to immediately do a charge jump into the wall, so I can do that. Point steering kind of helps you turn around after you get this panel. And then I start, charge jump, jump to the right, get this wall ride, and then let the wall ride naturally end, and then do a mid-air trick on my way down, back to the ground. And I can do a little trick boost. Getting that charge jump out is pretty tricky. Don't worry if you can't do it. It's not that important. Trick off the glider. You want to land pretty quick, right here. Learn where this upcoming panel is, because you're not going to be able to see it before you get to it, really. But trick off here to land on it, and then you want to go pretty far to the left, almost so you're hugging the wall nearly. You want to trick off of this right here. Wait till you see orange sparks on your wall ride, and then trick off the wall ride. Land here, trick off this slope as well. Start charging a jump, and then let it go right there. So charge jump to the left. Be sure you don't let that charge jump go too early, otherwise you will go higher than the panel. You want to make sure you let it go perfect time. Right there. And then once you get the panel, you can trick out of the wall ride. Hold right and trick out of the wall ride, so you end up here. And then slow down a bit. So you jump off here. And then you want to get a wall ride there to get that panel. This wall ride's really tricky. It's really easy to accidentally go too high, like this. It's even possible to go too low, like that. So you do have to practice that one, just get a feel for it. And then jump off this. And there's a cool strat I like to do at the end here that's very hard. You want to trick back onto the wall for a wall ride that takes you below that ceiling, if that makes sense. Let's see if I can get it and show you what I mean. That's it. That's exactly it. You want to try to do that at the end. So it's a really precise timing to trick and land back in a wall ride to go underneath that that wall. If you land back in a wall ride too early, let me show you what happens. You'll bonk the wall. And then you end up over here, and that's no fun. So I try... My cue for when to trick back onto the wall is roughly when I pass this green line. When I pass that green line, I try to trick back onto the wall. Like that. You won't always have enough, you won't always have, like, enough speed, even if you do get it. That just happens sometimes. But, yeah. Also, you don't even have to do this at all. That was a little bit high. That would have went over the panel, I think. You don't have to do this at all. You can just jump off, not bother with it, and then just land in the water. That's also totally fine. It's not that much slower. Yeah, this is a really satisfying one to do quickly, because it just flows really well. I'll try to show you. This, I think, slowly become one of my favorite tracks in the run because of how well it flows. That might have been a little bit too high. We'll see. That panel is a little bit generous, but you can go too high, so you do have to be careful. Let's go. I even got the ending. Nice. That was basically perfect. Yeah, that's what a good Dandelion Depths looks like. It flows super well. There are no rewinds. It's very nice. On to DK Pass. Start this one by turning around to the right. And then drift around this turn. You want to end up on this rail and then immediately trick right off of it. I tend to drift toward this panel and then trick off of it like this. And then you want to go off that ramp. Actually, it might be better not to drift toward this and just trick off of it normally. Go off that ramp, and then trick off that ramp and get an object boost from that pole. You can land on the rail here, or you can just land on the slope. It doesn't really matter either way. Hopefully you got a non-feather item that you can use to cut this off-road. If you got a feather, you can still use the feather to jump over it. It's just a lot slower and more annoying. Rewind. You'll get your item back too. Drift here. Immediately start charging and jump, and this is important. Release that charge jump before the wood. If you end up on the wood, you released your charge jump too late. If you release your charge jump late, this happens. You'll go way over the panel. If you don't do a charge jump, if you trick, that actually might have worked, but if you trick, it's really difficult to get the perfect angle. See, that goes way over the panel. That wasn't even close to getting it. Like, you want to make sure you charge jump here. That's how you make this consistent. Otherwise, this panel will be really inconsistent for you. So it's a charge jump. Release it before the wood, to the left as well. You want it to be a left jump. Just like that. And as soon as you get to the panel, you can trick off of it. Just keep tricking to the right. Run into some trees. That's fine. You'll object boost off of them. Be really careful. You don't run into that P-switch. If you hit that P-switch, a cutscene plays and you lose like 15 seconds. It very well could kill your run. Do not hit that P-switch. If you have a mushroom here, you can use it. if you do have to be careful. Your speed changes when you need to jump off of this rail. If you have a if you're in a mushroom boost, you need to jump off of it really early. If you're not in a mushroom boost, you need to jump off of it a bit later. See, like how that's too early now, so I didn't make it onto that rail I need to make it on? I wasn't in a mushroom boost. You want to land on this rail. So... if I have a lot of speed, then I can jump off a bit earlier. After it straightens out, you can jump once, and then jump off to the right, and then immediately start drifting. Maybe break drift if you need to. Around the corner into the last panel. And that's DK Pass. On to Wario Shipyard. This starts with a pretty difficult jump. I start by going over to the right, turning around right here, and then charging a jump, landing on the very right edge of this pillar, and then jumping off right here. So, at full speed, it's gonna look something like this. Like that. I realized, that is a charge jump forward to get on the wall, and then once I'm on the wall, I'm holding right, including when I jump off the wall. I'm still holding right. This is going to take some practice. It's very tough. Even I don't get it 100% of the time. You really want to get on that wall as soon as possible to give yourself as much time to get height from the wall ride as possible. Once you hit this panel, you can rewind back to right about here. You want to be holding A. Drift here. You want to run into this box, but you also kind of want to be drifting to the left as you're doing so. And then you sort of want to like let yourself hit this wall and let smart steering guide you into this rail. You can trick once on the rail, and then make sure you're holding left as you get off of it so you can get this panel. Rewind back to before the item set. Get the item on your way up. Hopefully it's a mushroom. Then just follow my line, get that panel. Jump off here to get this panel. Rewind back up, and then hopefully you have a mushroom. If you have a mushroom, use it right here and trick off this to make this jump. And that's the last panel. If you don't have a mushroom, if you have a star, or especially a feather, then that jump's going to be harder to make, and what you need to do is charge a mini turbo into it, and then jump off like this. And that's how you make it without a speed item. It's harder and slower, but it is doable. As soon as I release my mini turbo there, I start holding left. But that's Wario Shipyard. Not too terribly complicated once you're past the first jump. And things get a bit easier from here. Wario Shipyard, that jump is like the last really hard part of the run. There's a difficult thing I do in Starview Peak, but it's not entirely necessary. But onto Sky High Sundae. Start by turning around to the right, jump off this trick. As soon as I land, I start drifting to the left, and then I get onto this rail. Jump off. Whoops. You want to jump off this rail to the right, not too late, otherwise you'll do what I just did. Jump off this rail to the right, and about here, get this panel, rewind back up. Be very careful about the pipes down there. Those pipes will absolutely kidnap you if you get anywhere near them and are holding anywhere even remotely close to their direction. So be very careful of that. You do not want to go into this. If you time it exactly right, you can... I'll see if I can manage to do it. You can do that, and then you'll land directly on this panel. And that's faster, but it's very precise timing-wise and very risky. Because if you're too late, then you don't get down there at all. You want to rewind back up, and then jump off right here, and just do this. Go over this way, drift around the corner, trick here, make sure you land on the rail, and then once the rail levels out, trick left off of it. And then you'll end up on this panel, trick off this ramp. If you have enough speed, you can trick off here as well. Yeah. You'll want to drift around this turn, and then before like the trick area, you want to start drifting to the right. Brake drift around this turn, keep holding the drift, keep brake drifting, now you can let it go once you're up top. It's like a 360 drift, almost. Whoops, I bonked that fence actually made me drop my drift. Yeah, be careful about the line you take here. This is a deceptively tricky drift. You'll probably get an item there, and that can be helpful. Yeah, make sure you get this panel, keep your drift going. Once you're leveled out, you can let go of the drift. Trick off here to cut that corner. As soon as you're on this rail, trick off of it to the right. Kind of messed that up. I didn't have it as much speed as I would have coming from this. Trick here. As soon as you're on the rail, trick off to the right, you'll go through this pipe. If you have a speed item, you can use it right here. And there you go. That's the last panel. That's Sky High Sundae. Moving on to Starview Peak. I do a very silly strat at the start of Starview Peak. I reverse, turn this way, do tricks in midair, hold forward and do tricks in midair, so that my trick boost starts me going forward, charge a jump off the tree, land on this rail, and then that takes me to this panel. You can see how weird this is. You get this panel, do this. See, sometimes this happens. If this happens, that sucks. You just have to turn around and go up this way. There's not much you can do about it, you lose a couple seconds. There's another thing that can happen. We'll see if I can actually get it to occur. That can happen, where you just fly over everything. Oh, that ended up working out. There's a spot you can land in as well. Wow, that was... I'm shocked that worked. I'm trying to land in a specific spot. Here, right here. If this happens, if you land in here, just charge another jump and jump over the rail this way. It still loses a couple seconds, but it's a way to back it up, basically. Yeah, if you're more comfortable with it, maybe you find this better if you go off this way. You can try it like this as well, from this angle. I have less experience with that, but it's something you can try if this isn't working for you. By the way, what I'm doing here is a left front jump into this tree. That object boost is what gives me enough height here for this to work. Then we go that, trick off, go to that panel, trick off there, drift around this corner, and then as I'm about to get this panel, object boost, what? Map warp back to Starview Peak. If that beginning strat isn't working for you, by the way, it's a bit inconsistent. If you don't like it, you don't want to do it, that's okay. You can always just go around the normal way. That's totally fine. Onto the second half of Starview Peak. Drift right here, and do a trick, just to cut that corner. You don't have to do that, of course. You can just drift around it normally if you'd like. Yeah. You know, be careful. It's possible to trick too early. Trick there, do another drift, item, make sure you get that item. If you get a speed item, you can use it right here. Helps you out a little bit. And then I am going to do a bit of an optimization. That, basically. By the way, make sure you don't have too much speed coming off this, or you will overshoot the panel. Yeah, I like to drift, maybe even break drift, as I'm getting this panel. Trick off this, land here, and then trick to the left, get back up, and then go in that pipe. Of course, if that's intimidating, you don't need to do it. You can just go around normally. That's totally fine. That's just a small optimization that I like to do. And into the pipe. Watch this 10-second cutscene. That's really long for no reason. This is the last panel, so trick out of the pipe, and then once you're close enough to it, you can warp away to Boo Cinema. Thankfully, Boo Cinema is one of the easiest tracks in the game. You get, like, a little bit of a break here, almost. Turn around. I like to do a drift as I'm getting this panel. Trick off the spring. Drift around this corner as you get this item. If you time it right, you can trick off of this little lip right here and land in a drift, like this. That's pretty fast if you can manage to do it without being thrown off your line. Because you do need to make sure you actually get this panel. Drift around the corner, get on this rail, trick left off the rail. If you got a speed item, this is where you use it. As soon as you get this panel, rewind back onto the rail, and then immediately trick right off the rail. You just use the rewind to backtrack there. So, do that sequence at full speed. Oops. Do that sequence at full speed. On the rail, trick off the rail, use my items, rewind back onto the rail, I'll get my items back too, trick to the right, and now, once you're landing here, you kind of want to... I tend to trick left once, and then try to angle myself left a little bit, and then start drifting to the right. You probably will want to break drift here. You get this panel, and then jump off like this. This is, again, where you can use your speed items if you have any. Get on to this wall. Trick here, onto this wall, and then right before you go into the corner, you can warp away. At that point, you are safe to warp away to Acorn Heights. Only 3 tracks left to go. We're almost done. Turn around left on Acorn Heights, get on this rail. Right after this corner, just after this corner, trick off the rail to the right to get that panel. So it's gonna look like this. Hi. Just like that. Practice that. That timing will take some practice. It's 100% consistent once you get it down, but it takes some practice. Just like that. Rewind back onto the rail, immediately trick off to the left, break drift, turn around. Once you land here, right before the panel, you are safe to map warp back to Acorn Heights to get you back to the starting point. That is about 1 second faster than a rewind if you are on a digital copy. If you're playing this on a cartridge, that might... Your loads are probably going to be longer, so I don't know if it would be faster in that case. But I'm just going to assume you're playing on digital. Anyway. Get this item. That's really important. Make sure to get this item. Drift around this corner. A feather's really bad here. I'll go over that in a second. Let your Super Mini Turbo go. You can get another one. Make sure you get that dash food as well. Go over this panel while drifting, and then go off the glider. So, here's why having a feather is bad. Because we're going to go into this off-road. That's where the next panel is, as you can see. And I would love to have a speed item to negate this off-road, but all I have is this dash food. So that's not going to quite do the trick. As a backup, you can jump off here onto this mushroom. Just a little bit of speed. But you really would like to have some mushrooms, or a feather, or not a feather, sorry, or a star in addition to your dash food. golden mushroom. Meanwhile, best possible item you can get here. Remember, there are 3 types of dash food, small, medium, and large. So, obviously, you want to see a large here. I just got a small, but, I mean, I did just get a golden, so in this case, it doesn't matter that much. If you have a golden, you can use it before you get to the panel. It'll last very long. Goldens are very good in this game. But yeah, the ending is pretty straightforward. You just need to have a speed item, otherwise you pretty much do the same thing. Even if you don't have one, you're just slow and sad. On to try Bones Burnout. To start, I'm immediately going to curve slightly to the left and do a charge jump to the left. Right as I get to this finish line, basically, I'm going to jump off it to the left and clear the lava gap. And then as soon as I land from that charge jump, I will hold brake. So it looks like this. Hold brake. You should land directly on top of that panel and then rewind back up. Go this way, items, around the corner. If you got a speed item, you can use it here. Drift around the corners like I am. Make sure you brake drift for this one. Also, if you got a star, you got a star from the item set, either use it very early or don't use it at all, because you need it to be done by the time you reach this turn. Remember, when you're in a star, you can't brake drift. I don't know why, it's really stupid, but when you're in a star, you can't brake drift. Which means, unless you take that turn expertly like I just did somehow. Actually, no. Because you're in a star, you're going to be going faster, so it probably won't even work at all. You'll just fly off the side like this if you're in a star. You won't be able to take the turn tight enough, and you won't be able to brake drift it either. So, the point I was getting at there is if you get a star, either use it early or don't use it at all. If you have mushrooms, then less of a thing you need to be worried about. But back to the route. Ooh, that was a little weird. Yeah, definitely brake drift here if you think you need to. Pick off this, get this panel, go off to the left here. Pick off this. Just the very slight edge of this ramp. Come on. There we go. This one too. You could probably skip one of these if you still have a mushroom like I do right now. Get onto this rail. Wait until like after it's done curving, and then trick off to the right. You want to land on this panel, rewind back up, land on the rail, make sure you're holding accelerate. Trick off of it, trick off here, trick off here, trick off of here. Do not trick off of here. Instead you want to do a mid-air trick, and then once you land, that's the last panel, you're good to warp away to the last track, Bowser's Castle. This has been quite the long tutorial, hasn't it? I didn't expect this to take so long. But, turns out there's a lot to explain. I hope this has been helpful. I'm gonna have a little bit of water before I get into this last track. So we're going to start by turning to the right and tricking off this ramp into a wall ride. We're going to jump off of this wall ride while holding right. Not right away, but we're not going to wait too long to do it. You want exactly that to happen. It's kind of tricky to explain like what exactly my cue is for jumping off. I think I kind of just do it by feel at this point. We want to land right here, let Smart Steering help us turn to the right. Get this panel. As soon as I get this panel, rewind, hold A. You want to land on this rail and then immediately trick left off of it. So it's this. Oh, another thing I'm doing, by the way, after this wall ride, after I trick off this wall ride, is I'm continuing to trick right and shift my cart to the right. And rewind, Hold A. Land on this rail. If you can get this item, that's a nice bonus. If you can't, it's not a huge deal. Then you're gonna end up right about here. Watch out for the spike walls here. Just like that. Be careful for those. They hurt. So if there's one right there, like, you're gonna need to go around it, for example. Yeah, just keep driving forward across this panel. Over this ramp. Do not trick off this ramp, because you will get too much distance. Okay, these are getting in my way. You see how I went over the panel because I tricked off of it? So don't trick off of it. You can trick in midair, though. So you do this. Trick then. You'll land here. You can trick off of this ledge and do a wall ride on this wall. This looks very cool as well. It's very flashy. So like this. Make sure you trick off of the wall ride before it ends. Otherwise that happens. And that's not good. Then you'll land here. Go into this pipe. If you have a speed item, you can use it right there. We're gonna go over here, trick off of this, and this is the final panel. So get into a wall ride, and then immediately, well, not immediately. Once the wall, once you're close to the section of wall that has the panel on it, you know what I mean? The flat section right there. Then you can trick left off the rail, and get the last panel, and that would be time. It's all 150 panels. This is another one that I think this would benefit from me showing it at full speed. There's panel 1, rewind. You can trick in midair there if you want. If you're too far forward, then you shouldn't. Wall ride. Into the pipe. Be careful about the second pipe, by the way. I've never accidentally gone into it, but I'm always scared of doing so. Under the rail, trick left off the rail, and time. There's one thing I just remembered that I want to bring up. Has to do with this, like, rewind and such. If you get onto this rail too late, say you got onto it, like, right about here, then tricking left is going to get you onto this rail instead. And then you have to trick left again to get off of it, and then you end up over here, and you have to turn around, and it's really slow. So do your best to avoid that situation. But yeah, that is everything I have. That's every track. Up-to-date strat. Some of those are pretty difficult, some are less difficult. It's totally fine to, you know, take the strats you're comfortable with. Take the strats you want to learn. You don't have to do them all at the same time. You can always come back to this video, you know, take it piece by piece. Yeah, things that are important to remember. That if you want to do the forklift strat in Toad's Factory, you have to do Toad's Factory right after Wario Stadium, because it's that quit warp that sets up the forklift cycle. So, if you are doing Toad's Factory after Moo Moo Meadows, for example, then you can't do the forklift strat, because you're not going to be going into it after a quit warp. So, it would have to be after Wario Stadium, or I guess another stage with a quit warp, another track, but I think the only other track that has a quit warp is DK Spaceport, and that's nowhere near Toad's Factory. Yeah, I think that's it. If you just watched through all of this, and you haven't done a run yet or anything, then I highly recommend looking at Chloe's tutorial. That's going to be more beginner-friendly. He goes over a lot more of the basics, a lot more of the things you need to know to get started. So, if you are not an experienced runner and you somehow have not seen that yet, then I highly recommend looking at that as well. And again, I will have that link in the description. I think that's all I have to say. Thank you for watching this. Hope it was helpful. If you have any concerns, comments, what have you, put them down in the comment section. If there's any resources I should add in the description, whatever, anything I can do after the video goes live to help you out, let me know. I'll link to the Mario Kart World Speedrun server as well, because we have a panels channel in there, so you can, you know, post your strats, post if you need help with anything. Like I said, these strats are current as of December 28th, 2025, so if you're watching this significantly after that date, this might not be the most up-to-date strats anymore. It'll probably still be pretty fast, but I don't know. I'm not from the future. And also, if you're watching this after my GDQ run, I hope you enjoyed the run. If you're watching this before my GDQ run, make sure you check that out. I'm running all question mark panels on Monday, January 5th, currently scheduled for 9:42 p.m. Eastern Time on the Games Done Quick channel. Don't miss that. Cool. Alright, subscribe to the channel if you don't mind. Like the video. I just recorded like 3 hours of footage to get this together, so I'd appreciate it. And follow my Twitch as well, because I recorded this all live on Twitch. I'm gonna shut up. Thanks again. I hope this helped. Good luck with your runs. Bye.